Hey, everybody. Hope everybody is doing well out there. It's for Facebook. Um, so it's Wednesday. This is studentloanjustice.org. We finally know who the Department of Education's nomination for secretary is, and it is Linda McMahon. So Linda McMahon, I think she actually is a lawyer, but her claim to fame is being the wife of Vince McMahon of WWF fame, World Wrestling Foundation or something, Federation. So if you remember Donald Trump fighting in the big time wrestling, yeah, all that was her and her husband, Vince. So I was trying to compare her to like how terrible she will be. She will be terrible, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just say, all the wrestling stuff aside, it looks like she'll be about as terrible as the last nominee, Betsy DeVos, was. She's slightly less rich, but she's got a history with student loans. Like where Betsy DeVos owned stock in student debt collection companies, which was terrible. Linda McMahon was the head of something called the America First PAC, I believe is what it was. Oh, no, sorry. America First Policy Institute. And let me just share my screen with you quickly. This was one of the sort of laundry list of these conservative nonprofits across the country that were opposing Joe Biden's student loan cancellation effort. And here you can see they filed an amicus brief in that suit saying that the president did not have the power to cancel loans by executive order. Never mind the cruel irony of the fact that Donald Trump canceled student loans broadly twice by executive order. He did it before the pandemic in August 2019 for 25,000 disabled veterans by executive order. He did it with the onset of the first repayment pause during when COVID was hitting in early 2020. He did that. There were no lawsuits. There was no, that repayment pause canceled a ton of student loan debt in interest. So make no mistake, the president can cancel student loans, but this is where this Linda McMahon is coming from. She formerly headed the Small Business Administration under Trump. I don't remember what she did. I don't really care. So she's about what we expected. And that also, to me, is sort of an implicit sign that they're not going to destroy. They're not going to eliminate the Department of Education. That was all bluff and bluster. The Republicans have been claiming they want to eliminate the Department of Education for years and decades now. It's far easier to say for cheap applause than it is to actually do. So Linda McMahon is going to be terrible. Make no mistake. If you're expecting any sort of loan cancellation by executive order or even through Congress for that matter, that's just a non-starter for the next 4 years after Biden leaves. So that's what that is. Let me just come back to you here. Hopefully you can even see me on video. We're having some real very serious issues with our live streaming lately where you can hear us, but you can't see us, or sometimes you can see us, but not hear us. So hopefully you'll be able to see me now. And maybe I'll just check my Facebook real quick to check. By the way, if you have any questions or comments and you're watching us on Twitter and or Facebook, not on YouTube. If you're watching us on Twitter or Facebook, if you want to throw a comment into the live stream, if I can see it, I will certainly respond to it. So ladies and gentlemen, what is far more important than what we have to look forward to with Trump, and I have reason to be hopeful, by the way, and maybe I'll get into that a little bit later, but what is far more important right now, ladies and gentlemen, is that Our petition of 1.2 million signatures, which started the entire conversation about loan cancellation by executive order, and also returning bankruptcy to student loans, the timing, the conditions right now are perfect for us, we, the people on this group, studentloanjustice.org, the pioneers, the thought leaders in the entire student loan justice battle. It is very important that we spread this petition. The ember is tinder dry right now. Sorry, the kindling is tinder dry right now, and it's ready to explode. People are freaked out about their student loans. Everything we're seeing from the Republicans screams terrible. The debt collection industry has finally gotten their wish of seeing a massive default on student loans, a massive, call it a debt strike. That's happening. About 85% or maybe even more of all borrowers are not making payments on their loans today. So the debt collection industry is going to get the mass default they wanted in the continued absence of bankruptcy protections. And that's a key point. So folks, if you forget everything I say today, if you were ever going to fight this week, do anything for student loan justice, go to our petition, change.org/cancel student loans. Sign it if you haven't. Maybe if you have a different email, sign it again. It's kind of cheesy, but share it. Most importantly, share it. Share the link to it. Change.org/cancel student loans. Very easy to remember. You can type it in, change.org/cancel student loans. Type that into at least 10 to 20 places over the next couple days across all your social media. There are 40 million people right now losing sleep over their student loans. Only 1 million have signed our petition so far. So that's 38.8 more million people that have not signed our petition. If they saw our petition, they would sign our petition. It's very simple. Now, back when we started this petition in 2020, way before anybody was talking about canceling student loans by executive order, by the way, that all started here, that concept here, it started. But when we started that petition, we only had about, I think, 6 or 7, maybe 1,000 members on our Facebook group. And obviously we had 0 signatures on the petition. Now we have 20,000 people on our Facebook group. We've got 100,000 people by email. We've got maybe 100,000 people all across our other platforms. And we've got 1.2 million people supposedly on our petition who are at least aware of this group. And we do message maybe 10% of those people on a daily basis. We've got a far better shot of making this petition soar. I mean, there's no good reason we can't get 5, 10. I even think 20 million signatures on this petition is a very realistic goal. But that's only if everybody out there realizes we're screwed, guys. This is your problem. You've got to own this problem. Your student loans are on the line. And right now, we are looking into a very dystopian future. Make no mistake, guys. Kamala Harris, she was going to be terrible. And if you're a Democrat, I'm very sorry to have to say that. Kamala Harris and the Democrats abandoned and betrayed us. That's true. We were going to be screwed no matter how this election went. But because the Republicans won, we are still going to be screwed. We'll just be screwed far faster and a little bit in a more mean way. So the Band-Aid is getting ripped off quicker than longer because Trump and the Republicans won. Now there is hope, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you, many Republicans and conservatives have agreed with our primary, absolutely most fundamental point that constitutional bankruptcy protections have got to be returned to these loans. We've seen editorials in the National Review, the Cato Institute, very conservative place. Even some of our enemies, some of the people that I count as being true bad guys, they have grudgingly acknowledged that bankruptcy protections have got to be returned to these loans. So that's really something. people like Matt Gaetz, people like Josh Hawley, Matt Gaetz, Josh Hawley, mug as they get. Matt Gaetz is actually up to head the Department of Justice, as you probably know. John Cornyn also was in line to be something. He may get, I don't know what he might be, but very influential senator, a Republican. They have all championed very good bills that would return the constitutional leverage of bankruptcy to student loans. And for those of you who are maybe new to the group or you haven't thought about it, the founding fathers called for uniform bankruptcy laws, aka uniform bankruptcy rights in the Constitution. You know, it was a debtors' revolt, which compelled the founders to even create, draft, and pass, ratify our Constitution. And in it, they called for uniform bankruptcy rights ahead of the power to declare war and raise an army and coin currency and every right listed in the Bill of Rights. That's how important the founding fathers thought that having a bankruptcy system in this country was, a uniform bankruptcy system. So no matter how you might define uniform, student loan borrowers are not treated uniformly. We are not given uniform, equal protection under the bankruptcy laws. Student loans are unconstitutional, guys. Make no mistake. And while I know a good number of you right now are thinking, yeah, but I don't want to file for bankruptcy. That's not the point. It doesn't matter what you do, whether you file or whether you don't file. Having the leverage of bankruptcy back on our side means everything. It means everything, guys. So without even anyone, not even one person having to file, when we get the leverage of bankruptcy returned, they're going to have to do massive changes to the student loan program. Quite frankly, they may even decide to end it. I don't know. But just the leverage of bankruptcy is what is needed to compel fair administration of the lending programs, all the various income-driven repayment plans, which are all, forget about. If you're in an IDR, you may as well forget about it for the next 4 years. You're not going to get your loans discharged. Ain't going to happen. The Republicans don't roll that way. We saw a 99% rejection rate all up through 2020 and even well into Biden's first term. It's going to go back to a 99% rejection rate. If you're hoping to get a borrower defense claim passed under Trump, sorry, guys, I don't see that happening. It's going to go back to business as usual at the Department of Education, and they absolutely will not approve any IDRs, any BDRs. I'll be surprised if they do. I'll be very surprised. So certainly you shouldn't count on that. But all that sort of bad faith stuff, all this nonsense about jacking a loan up from $15,000 to $75,000 or from $25,000 to $235,000, those are actually numbers that came from our members, by the way. They're actually living human people who have seen their loan balances explode like that. All that bullshit goes away when we have the leverage of bankruptcy on our side. They cannot abuse us like they've been abusing us with the leverage of bankruptcy on our side. It's the most important thing I'll say today. It's the most important I've ever said in the 20-year history of championing this cause. And for those of you who are new to the group, my name is Alan Collins. I'm actually the first student loan activist in the country. I wrote the first book, published the first book with Beacon Press to be critical of the student loan program. I'm a very honest guy, and we are a 100% uncorrupted group. Now, the way all the nonsense in the media and the politics and the zeitgeist have been astroturfed against us, the issue is always now student loan cancellation. And yeah, we did start that conversation. Student loans do have to be canceled. There's no doubt about that. We started that whole thing, by the way. It was, as I said, it was our petition that started the whole concept of canceling student loans by executive order and launched that into the public conversation. But guys, bankruptcy is far more important, and very dark forces out there are aligned against us. They have politicized this issue so that all of a sudden everything's about cancellation and all the very fake arguments that our opposition throws against us, like taxpayers having to pay for people's college, and it's completely false. But there's a reason that they're doing that, and I'll just tell you. There are groups out there. In fact, every other large group out there claiming to be fighting for student loan borrowers, they have been corrupted by this. They are actually business partners or otherwise have business contacts with the student debt collection industry. So what the student debt collection industry and what the student loan industry wants generally is a mass default in the continued absence of bankruptcy rights. That's what they've always wanted, the whole 20 years that I've been doing this. I can say that because we don't do deals with those assholes, those scumbags, those snakes, those slime balls. They've tried, believe me, they have tried. I have had so much money waved in my face by these sharks to try and get me to change my agenda just a little bit. It's like, could you let's not talk about bankruptcy, but yeah, cancellation. Go ahead and fight for cancellation all day long. They feel pretty safe with the cancellation argument because they don't see it happening. And in the meantime, while all the air gets sucked out of the room talking about cancellation, which certainly will not happen by executive order under Trump, they love that. They're happy to see the fireworks. But in the meantime, this predatory lending beast continues down the road. And it's going to get very vicious and very ugly for us as long as we don't have the constitutional right of bankruptcy on our side. So the one thing worth fighting for going forward with the Republicans is the return of bankruptcy rights to student loans. Now, we are pushing Biden as hard as we possibly can to make good on his promise that got him elected president, by the way, in 2020. You wonder why Kamala Harris lost that election? She made no promises on student loans. She said nothing. I don't even think she mentioned student loans on the campaign trail. And lo and behold, she loses by 4 million votes, where Biden won by like 7 million votes last time. That's 11 million vote switch. A lot of those people that didn't vote or maybe even went the other way, I guarantee you they were distressed, depressed student loan borrowers who decided just to sit at home otherwise. But anyways, shame on the Democrats. They betrayed us. They abandoned us. They took the return of bankruptcy protections out of their party platform. The Democrats had a very good bankruptcy bill 2 years ago, Senator Dick Durbin. It was a bill that would have returned bankruptcy rights to loans that were over 10 years old. It would have had a modest, probably never would have happened, but a modest clawback from the colleges. It had bipartisan support. And at the very last minute, Dick Durbin pulled the rug out from under his own bill that he had all the votes needed to pass. So the Democrats are not good guys, folks. The Republicans are bad guys, but the Democrats are bad guys too, is what I'm trying to tell you. It's a uniparty thing. So we're screwed under Trump, there's no doubt, but we were already screwed under the Democrats. But there is hope when we get our bankruptcy leverage back, everything changes, guys. I know that it's achievable. In fact, if the Republicans were smart, and they should be thanking their lucky stars, by the way, that Kamala was so terrible on student loans. That's the only reason they won that election. It was not a landslide, by the way. Winning by 4 million votes is not a landslide. And the electoral map, that was not a landslide either. They pulled it out by the skin of their teeth, the hair of their ass. And one of the major, if not the major reason, was because of the student loan issue. So the Republicans aren't stupid. The Democrats aren't stupid. Both of them have fealty to this catastrophic, tyrannical, oppressive, unconstitutional loan scam. That's true. And apparently they're willing to lose everything to keep this loan scam going. Hint, hint, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi. One other quick fact about the Democrats, and I'm sorry that I'm bagging on the Democrats. We're a fiercely nonpartisan group, guys. Whatever your political stripes are, you're very welcome in this group. We cannot stand either group. I would vote for a loaf of cheese over a Democrat or a Republican at this point. I'm done. I'm done with both those parties. But one other little tidbit you may want to be aware of. You know, when our loan cancellation by executive order initiative that we started, when Biden tried it, and it was a very lame attempt, up to 10,000, up to 20,000, it was stupid in the first place. But when Biden's loan cancellation by executive order attempt went up to the Supreme Court, it was Nancy Pelosi who, at the critical time, started, and her and Susan Rice, other leading West Coast San Francisco Democrats, started stating publicly that no, the president does not have the power to cancel student loans. They weighed in against Biden's lame student loan cancellation attempt. So the limousine, I call it the limousine liberal wing of the Democratic Party, funded by billionaire families in San Francisco and Boston and all across the country. The Swig family is the main culprit in this case. So, you know, if you Google Swig family and see this as far as old money goes in California, they are certainly old money. This real estate empire, they're really the guys who killed that Supreme Court case. They gave the Supreme Court the political permission structure, kind of a new term. They gave the court the political permission structure to rule against that student loan cancellation initiative, even though Donald Trump had canceled student loans by executive order twice before that. And did the Biden legal team ever mention that fact in court? No, they didn't. I read most of the transcripts. I never heard them even bother to make that argument. So it's a uniparty thing, guys. Please see through the partisan bullshit. It's just a complete whitewash against us. Don't fall for it. More than anything, guys, we've got to fight for bankruptcy. We've got to fight for it hard. We still have Biden for 2 months. There is still a very real chance that he might actually fulfill his long-standing 4-year-old promise to cancel student loans broadly by executive order. Despite that Supreme Court case, guys, Joe Biden can go down to the Department of Education right now and say, Miguel Cardona, I want you to right now, or James Caval, I want you to X out every nickel of federally owned student loans. Every nickel of our portfolio, I want you to delete it, and I want you to send congratulation letters to the 43.4 million direct federal student loan borrowers out there. Do that. Zero out the accounts. Do it. I command you as commander-in-chief. And that will happen. Will there be controversy? Yeah, there will be controversy. Will there be lawsuits? Yeah. But it's pretty hard to unring that bell. Biden could do it if he had just an ounce of spine and he had an ounce of, what's the word, shame, or maybe guilt, or if he had an ounce of good sense for his own legacy, he would buck the system. He would do that. He would do something strong. He's very culpable. Joe Biden is very culpable for the student loan scam. And a lot of people ask me, oh, what are the chances of that happening? And, you know, we make the odds, guys. We on this group right here, I kid you not. We made student loan cancellation an issue in the first place. We're not thrilled with how the Democrats wrecked it and how the other fake AstroTurf corrupted groups forced it to be a partisan issue where all the R's went to one side, all the D's went to the other side. We don't like how that happened, but the fact is it all started with this group. So everybody out there within the sound of my voice, you should know that we are the pioneers. And we are way more important in this fight than you might think, as unlikely as it may seem. So if you do nothing else for student loan justice for the next 2 months, I want you to plaster the link to that petition, change.org/cancel student loans, everywhere that you possibly can. And I also want you to do everything else you can think of. You're not a robot. I'm not a robot. We're just normal people here. All of us have very interesting, special talents, skills, networks, people we know, maybe connections to the media. There's all sorts of things that you sitting there can do. Now, the other groups, they're very happy to sit you on your ass and say, oh, come to our meeting. That's nonsense. We need you to get off your ass and start trying to make things happen. Call your congressman, call your senator. Sure, that's great. Get a reporter to look very closely at this issue. Tell them that we can provide them. We have people all over the country. We've got millions of people all over the country in every major and minor media market out there with very compelling, sometimes tragic stories to tell about how badly they've been abused at the hands of this predatory lending scam. We are very happy to work with the media to help get the word out about everything, about student loan injustice, what needs to happen. But for the next 2 months, guys, we've got to really focus like a laser beam on Biden. After that, obviously, we're going to have to focus on the Republicans. So embrace that suck. Don't sit there and expect that any of those fucking, pardon my French, fake corrupted groups out there are going to fight this battle for you. I mean, they would love to sit you down on your ass doing nothing, watching them dance and sing and pretend like they're fighting for you. But all they're doing is making you immobilized. They're paralyzing you. They're hypnotizing and distracting you. Be smarter than that, please. Right? We all went to college. We're not the dullest. We're not the dullest knife in the sheath. Think for yourself, guys. AstroTurf is real, and it's a very real threat. Don't buy into it. Stick with this group. We are actually normal human people. And by the way, speaking of press, we are mentioned yesterday. We're interviewed yesterday at News Nation in a pretty good article towards the end of pushing Biden to fulfill his longstanding promises to us, both to cancel student loans by executive order, but also to return bankruptcy protections to student loans by executive order. I'm looking at two places here because I'm looking at my phone and my Chromebook. So I think I've said everything I have to say, guys. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get to your comments today. I'm going to be doing these live streams more often as time goes on. Maybe the last thing I should say is if you could donate, just please do it, guys. We need a few $1,000 every month to keep our lights on, keep me clothed, housed, and fed, keep our internet working and our website and all that stuff. If you could donate, just please do it. Studentloanjustice.org/donate. We don't need much, but we can't do it on nothing. And I know so many people out there are so disconsolate. I know a lot of people are really depressed. Don't be depressed, guys. 85% of all student loan borrowers are not paying. We're all in this together, and that's worth a lot. We're a community, and we need you. And misery loves company. How about that? But certainly, if you've stopped paying, don't beat yourself up about it. That's true for nearly 9 out of 10 student loan borrowers today. We don't have to put up with this shit, guys. The founding fathers are on our side. Make no mistake. This battle that we were fighting, have been fighting for the past 20 years. I wouldn't say it's been the funnest 20 years of my life, but I wake up with a purpose every day, and it feels very good to fight this fight because we're fighting the right fight. We're fighting for hundreds of millions of people who are going to follow in our footsteps. The stakes are very high. And there is nothing more worthwhile than fighting this battle. So just remember that we're fighting for a lot more than just our own selves here. We are in a very real way fighting for the future of this country. And I don't want to scare you, but if they can do to other loans what they've done to student loans, remove bankruptcy and turn them into weaponized ATM machines, weaponized wealth extraction mechanisms against us, they will. So we can't let them get away with that. And so just buck up, join the fight, and I'll see you soon. Peace. And please donate, guys. Please donate. Let me dial that in for you real quick. Please donate if you can.